and welcome to another episode on the Give India's Caring for India campaign. Give India, with its large network of partner NGOs across the country, has been one of the first responders to the acute shortage of protective equipment for frontline workers in hospitals, sanitation workers and Asha Didis, those who are risking their lives to save ours in this fight against COVID-19. In today's special show, let's talk about the health interventions, home isolation, and also help rural India fight COVID-19. Joining me today is E.R. Ashok Kumar, President Give India, Neha Joshi, Head NGO Partnerships, Lucian Chan, Managing Director, Skoll Foundation, and later during the show we will be joined by A.G. Lakshmanan, Lead Healthcare Give India, Mr. Shishir Joshi, CEO and Founder Project Mumbai, and Radharani Mishra, Associate Manager NGO Partnerships Give India. Thank you all so much for joining us. Mr. Ashok, I would like to start with you. Give India has so far distributed PPE kits and other protective equipment, supported COVID care hospitals, and also has been focusing on prevention in the form of screening potential COVID ill patients. Tell us, why did you focus on healthcare?
Yeah, after the pandemic broke out across the country, when we started, hearing from various sources, doctors, and healthcare-focused NGOs, it was very evident that there were systemic challenges to kind of prevent and detect, COVID cases. So therefore, we clearly felt that healthcare is an immediate intervention that was needed for the country, and hence we chose to focus on healthcare.
So, Mr. Ashok, when you chose to focus on healthcare, looking at, it was needed, what was the strategy? What were you all thinking?
See, the initial strategy was very clearly, how do we prevent, right? All of us were wearing masks, and obviously those who can't afford, we need to just kind of make sure that they get the protective gear, right? So specifically on the healthcare, we also found that COVID hospitals and the frontline workers were not having enough protective and approved protective gear. I think that's the initial start of the strategy, where prevention was the first, where we started doing N95 masks and PPE kits, and as well as, sanitizers. But later we realized that alone is not enough, because the number of tests that were happening across the country were not enough, and then we were putting too much load on, how many people can get tested. So therefore we moved on then to how do we detect smarter, in terms of screening and detecting, and eventually finding smarter ways to how do we treat people. While there is no definitive cure right now, at least how do you make sure that lesser people go to the hospital who are more qualified and must go to the hospital? And that's basically we started with protection, then we moved to the detection, then how do we kind of treat people smarter so that there is lesser load in the COVID hospital? That has been, in a way, kind of strategy evolved through this period.
Okay. So Neha, like Mr. Ashok was telling us, besides supporting the healthcare professionals and screening people, has Give India also supported COVID patients?
Yes, actually. We've done quite some work on that front. We've actually supported hospitals with ambulances for patients. We've supported with oximeters and thermometers for patients. But most importantly, we've helped COVID patients who are in home quarantine, with supporting them with proper protocol there. In Mumbai, we've associated with BMC through our implementation partners, Project Mumbai and Portia. We started this somewhere in July, and around that time, Mumbai was seeing about 2,500 plus cases every day, which actually meant a lot of strain on the public healthcare system. We wanted to support the healthcare infrastructure by providing a remote support for the people who were in home quarantine, who were majorly either asymptomatic or had been referred back from the hospital, or were mildly symptomatic patients. The idea was to support them with on-call doctor support, on-call doctor consultation whenever required, helping them with mental health support, helping them with, helping them taking through the protocol of the home quarantine, the do's and the don'ts, as well as there was an emergency ambulance support available just in case required.
So while you were supporting them, Neha, what is the impact that you all have seen so far on ground?
Got it. So If you talk about numbers, up until now, since July, we've actually supported 70,000 plus COVID patients in home quarantine, out of which about more than 35,000 have actually completed the course and are successfully recovered. The others are still, in the recovery phase, and we are still supporting them. Outside of it, there are more impact in the sense that there are hospital beds which got free for more critical patients when more asymptomatic and mildly symptomatic patients moved back home.
So, Mr. Ashok, looking at what Neha is also saying, and the amount of the work has happened on ground, how does Give India collect funds? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what really is ICRF?
So ICRF actually stands for India COVID Response Fund. When the pandemic broke in the country, we made an appeal. We formed a giving collective so that individuals and institutions can come together to help us effectively respond through non-profit organizations across the country. In fact, it's a very unique fund where individuals, corporates, foundations, HNI, CSR funds can put the money in, and we formed a very structured steering committee and as well as a very strong due diligence so that the money reaches the right hotspots in the right methods. And our advisory group included eminent experts both in the healthcare as well as execution experts. So that way, I think this fund, ICRF, is as a whole, India COVID Response Fund, worked out extremely well through our platform, Give India.
Okay, so let me just come across to you, Lucian. What is SCOL's specific focus areas on the healthcare side? Can you tell us about that?
Thank you for having me. So on the healthcare side, this year in particular, the SCOL Foundation is looking at pandemics, COVID-19 in particular, and what we can do to stop this pandemic from spreading and affecting the most vulnerable people in this world and in India especially. And how can we strengthen the healthcare systems that support this work so that they can be stronger for the future. So when the next disaster or pandemic strikes, we are better positioned to respond to that more effectively and save lives at the end of the day.
So Lucian, SCOL has also partnered with Give India. Tell us about the partnership. Why are you supporting Give India?
Great questions. So when we decided to work in India this year for responding to COVID-19 in particular, I did probably about 36 calls or more with funders in the region, with civil society organizations, with other NGO partners that we work with and know, trying to find out who is doing the best work in terms of responding to COVID, who is moving the most quickly, who is having the greatest impact, and essentially what organizations should the SCOL Foundation invest in. And without a doubt, the organization that came up time and time again was Give India and the India COVID Response Fund. This is something I did not hear a single negative comment about from any organization I spoke to. And I think that really speaks to the history of Give India in the country, the strength of their platform, the strength of their leadership, and the speed at which they're moving.
Mr. Ashok, coming back to you here, it's been over 7 months since the pandemic hit India, and Give India has been working on it since the very beginning. What is the impact overall of the work done?
I think the impact has been very good. So as we know that as we speak now, there are more than 7 million confirmed cases and 6 million people have recovered, and close to 100,000 people have actually died, unfortunately. So by working through close to 55 plus hospitals, we've been able to through about 87 ambulances, several thousands of people we've been able to screen and make sure that healthcare workers and doctors provided transportation, etc. Right. So overall, from an impact lens, if you look at it, we've been able to give close to 150,000 PPE kits, 200,000 plus N95 masks, and about close to 12,000 liters of sanitizers have gone in. So I would say that if I were to quantify, I think we've been able to prevent many thousands of people either getting infected or, if they get infected, they get the best course of action treatment possible. through our healthcare initiatives.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's time for a short break. Coming up on the other side is how Give India is raising funds for mobile medical units and also the rural interventions by Give India. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Give India has raised funds to provide mobile medical units equipped with doctors and health assistants that screen communities in COVID hotspots within the city limits to identify and isolate those who show symptoms and send them for testing. Currently, Give India is also supporting the Mumbai Municipal Authority with home isolation services and has joined hands with Project Mumbai to help the city cope with the rising cases. To take this conversation forward, joining us now are Mr. A.G. Lakshmanan, Lead Healthcare Give India, Mr. Shishir Joshi, CEO and Founder Project Mumbai, and Radharani Mishra, Associate Manager NGO Partnerships Give India. Mr. Lakshmanan, tell me, why did Give India start the mobile medical units?
Yeah. Hi, Ambika. First of all, thank you for having me here. So we at Give India had started our intervention in healthcare in early April. At that time, the largest requirement on ground was that of protective equipment for our frontline healthcare workers. There was a lot of shortage of PPE kits, gloves, N95s, and all of that. And we had a team of volunteers working with the hospitals, understanding the load of cases at that hospital, what have they received from the government, and what is the shortfall in the equipment. And we were basically fulfilling that need. So this was a very reactive approach that we had up until about June. And we wanted to get more proactive in curbing COVID, and we decided to focus on testing, as that was the area where we felt like we could have maximum impact. So at that time, we zeroed in on Mumbai, where we saw that the volume of cases and the fatalities were highest. We partnered with Doctors for You as our implementation partner, who were able to execute these mobile medical units, who had these doctors and the paramedical staff within the units who were able to screen in the hotspots which we identified. And what we decided was we wanted to get into specific areas within Mumbai. So there was municipal ward level cases data which was made available by the BMC. So we decided to focus extensively on densely populated areas like urban slums. So what we decided was we'll roll out these mobile medical units in these areas in order to scale up our tracing efforts and our testing efforts and preventing the COVID spread proactively.
Mr. Joshi, coming to you here, how is Project Mumbai working with the government to implement this solution?
Project Mumbai as a not-for-profit has always been in the forefront in identifying pain points which impact people and to look at solutions. When COVID-19 struck Mumbai, the government was busy handling medical infrastructure and to look at treatment spaces. There was a lot of gap in the home quarantine space, and this is where we intervened. There were people who were getting infected but staying at home, and we said, can we look forward with a solution of reaching out to these people who are at home through a call center. At that point, the municipal corporation was utilizing doctors from various hospitals or teachers who are meant to teach and to make these calls to the home quarantine. Our Mumbai Maitri project of Project Mumbai with the municipal corporation brought call center employees who started reaching out to all these people who are home quarantined, and it made a huge difference. Close to 75,000 people have gained over the last 3 months.
Ms. Mishra, the organization, Give India has done a lot of work in the urban hotspots. So now after all this work, do you plan on supporting rural India as well?
Thanks. So to answer to your question, yes, absolutely. And in fact, we just rolled out a 3-month pilot project. So in September itself. And we have partnered with Healing Fields Foundation, so as an NGO partner, and ISDA, which is Indian School of Development Management, as a knowledge partner. So as part of this pilot, we are going to cover 204 villages across UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, and Telangana.
We're just going to come back on the, the rural aspect and the rural intervention. Mr. Joshi, if I could just come here, and ask you, could you just briefly explain the process of the project, the work that you all are doing?
The process has been fairly elementary. Every day, the number of people who test positive get segregated into two lists. The master list goes to the municipal corporation. Those who are hospitalized get taken care of by the municipal doctors, but those who are meant to be home quarantined under the national home quarantine policy, those details are provided to the call center. From 8 in the morning, these people are called every day. There was a SOP that was finalized, what kind of calls, how many questions, what kind of details that need to be asked. Every alternate day, these calls were made to these people who were home quarantined, and their data was recorded. If there was an escalation needed, that was provided to them. If these people were in high risk, those details were provided to the municipal corporation. Separately, Project Mumbai has a mental health helpline called Samvad. Those details were through the helpline, through the call center, provided to these home quarantined people, so that family members or the people who are homebound, if they face anxiety or loneliness related issues, they could be taken care of as well.
Mental health is again something very crucial which you all have touched on, and making sure actually reaching out to each one of them in spite of them actually being in home quarantine. So Ms. Mishra, any strategy on supporting rural India which can easily be adopted at the local level? Any thought on that?
Yes, absolutely. So for the strategy, like before I jump into the rural strategy, I just want to, highlight one thing here, that the strategy that we have come up for the rural project is entirely different from the urban projects that we have implemented. So we are trying to, collaborate with the community, kind of collectivize their effort and make them self-sufficient so that they can face and also fight the pandemic. So now the strategy is basically the framework, the simple framework that we have devised. And this framework is based on 3 levels. So to take first is prevent. So as part of prevent, we're trying to educate the community and increase the awareness in the community, so that people know what are the do's and don'ts to prevent COVID. Getting themselves infected by COVID. So what are the do's and don'ts? And then next is the prepare stage, where we want to make the villages ready in case if there is an outbreak of COVID.
Mr. Lakshman, the last question to you, coming on to the, mobile medical units, the MMUs. What are the challenges that you all are facing on ground?
Yeah. So when we started off, it was June, and it coincided bang on with the monsoons. And in Bombay, the monsoons are crazy, and it totally impacted our operations for 1 or 2 days, and we had to wade through the rains to make sure that our operations aren't impacted. So that was one of the biggest challenges that we had to face. Secondly, the safety of the staff. How do we make sure that the staff is well protected, making sure that they are well equipped and at the same time well protected. We also had to hire replacements to make sure that the operation doesn't get impacted in case somebody tests positive. And lastly, it sort of ties back into Radharani's point on the stigma. We encounter, and we still encounter, people who are not willing to get tested purely because of the stigma associated with COVID. And the healthcare paramedical staff do a great job in just going there, explaining to the people on why we are doing what we are doing and how getting tested is actually a great thing for them and to minimize spread within their communities. And that is somehow, that is the way we are battling this particular challenge.
The battle against COVID-19 is still far from over, but as a nation, we need to stand together in this fight. Since the end is far, the support must continue. And Give India is playing a very important role by constantly helping the frontline workers who are the corona warriors, as well as supporting other NGOs. As the Prime Minister recently has said, I would like to quote him, India's COVID-19 fight is people-driven and gets great strength from our COVID warriors. Our collective efforts have helped save many lives. We have to continue the momentum and protect our citizens from the virus. So taking from what the Prime Minister said, let's get together and stand up and fight against COVID-19. And we would also like to salute all the frontline warriors. Thank you so much for watching.